The Diary of Alice Miyuzaki. Written by TinaTheRose. Evidence. Case number redacted. Item number redacted. Evidence description. Journal. 4x6 cover, made of teal faux suede, 150 pages. Place evidence found. Turned in by Kasumi Grayson to the Silver Vein Police Department, now in protective custody. Date and time of recovery. Redacted. Victim. Alice Miyuzaki. Evidence recovered by Detective Kenji Yamaoka. Entry number 1. It's my birthday today. Mum and Dad are out of town, so I skipped school to visit Uncle Tamaki. I know Dad will be pissed when he finds out, but I wanted to see my uncle, so I'll take whatever punishment I deserve. He hasn't been doing so great since he and Kenji divorced. Tamaki took me to the arcade and got me this diary. I'll need to figure out a place to hide it where my parents won't look. It was a fun day. Tamaki blames himself for what that guy in the armour did a few weeks ago. I wish he didn't. Entry 2. Dad yelled at me over the phone just now. I checked the time. He spent an hour and 20 minutes berating me. He was so disappointed in me. He told me I'm ruining my life and lamenting about how he thought he could trust me. He said next time he went out of town, he'd be taking me with him so I couldn't pull a stunt like this again. His words sat in my stomach like a burning ball of stress and guilt. I had to throw up after the call ended. My hands are shaking right now. I think I'll hide my journal in the air vent. Entry 3. There's a new girl in school. Her name is Kasumi. It's such a pretty name. She was apparently being homeschooled before now. She has a very bubbly personality. At lunch, I sit in the back of the cafeteria where I'm usually alone to draw. Kasumi came over and introduced herself to me. She started complimenting my art. I was in the process of sketching a dead crow I had seen on the side of the road that morning. I was shocked. She didn't find it too morbid. She instead found it super cool and started talking about how good the anatomy was. There was a joyous look in those piercing green eyes as she spoke. She's incredibly beautiful. I wish I could have spent more time with her, but the bell rang. I'm in detention for skipping class right now. Not looking forward to coming home. Entry 4. My back hurts. Dad really let loose with the belt this time. However, I don't think I'll need to go to the hospital since I managed to stop the bleeding. I know I shouldn't have skipped school, even if it was my birthday. I just wanted to spend time with Tamaki. I didn't tell Dad about where I was or who I was with. Instead, I told him I just went to the library. He told me I wasn't allowed to go there anymore unless it's school related. I don't feel great about lying to him. I'm certain Mom is going to call the library to check if I was actually there or not. I know what the librarian is going to say, though. Lots of people come and go. Your daughter may have come in and I just didn't see her. Hopefully, tomorrow will be a better day. Entry 5. Kasumi made a beeline for me when she came to school. She nearly knocked me off my feet when she hugged me. I had to stifle a whimper because of my back. I swear I was red as a radish. She held up a small sketchbook, a giant toothy grin in her face. She flipped to a page and I gasped. She had drawn me. It looked so beautiful. I looked beautiful. My jaw dropped, and I thanked her profusely. She told me, "It helps that the subject was so beautiful." I wasn't able to say another word after that. Only shy squeaks escaped me. I felt like such an idiot. Why couldn't I speak? Entry 6. Kazumi walked me home halfway. She would have taken me all the way, but I didn't want my parents to see. They wanted me to focus on my studies and not so much on friends. As we walked, she was talking about several bands I had never heard of. I didn't really know what she was talking about. However, I loved how passionate she was. She talks with her hands a lot. When I got home, Mom and Dad were busy with work, so they left me alone. I was able to spend some time messaging with Uncle Tamaki online. I have to use a fake social media account to keep in contact with him, because my parents read my texts. I told him about Kasumi and he started teasing me, saying how I'm taking after him a lot. I wish he and Dad got along. Grandpa, by extension the family, disowned him when he and Kenji got married. It would be nice for Tamaki to come around the house once in a while. Entry 7. Kazumi asked if I would go to mass with her on the weekend. I tried to explain I can't leave unless it's school related. Kazumi explained she could have her friend call my parents and say I was doing community service for school. I wasn't so sure about that, but I agreed to go with her. I want to spend more time with her. She makes me smile. When I agreed, she hugged me tight again. My heart flutters whenever she does that. Still, I'm not sure why she wanted me to go to mass. Entry 8. When I got home, my parents called me into the kitchen to talk about the community service I was being assigned. I had worked out all the details with Kasumi and told them I would be cleaning up some yards. Autumn was coming, so someone needed to take care of them. It must have matched with what Kasumi's friend had said, because they agreed to let me go. I thought it wasn't like they would have had a choice if this was real. Still, I'm shocked this is going off without a hitch. Entry 9. Mum drove me to the street I was supposed to be cleaning up. Kazumi waited until Mum was gone to jump out and hug me. Again, I had to stifle another whimper. She seemed genuinely happy to see me. She was wearing a short red dress with thin straps and lipstick to match. I was flustered by how hot she looked in her dress, but also confused. This didn't look like something someone would wear to church. Apparently, she belongs to a church known as the Children of the Red Angel. The name made it sound like devil worship. She assured me, though, that it wasn't. She led me to one of the larger houses on the street. This was where mass would be held. I was surprised by this, but I know some religions don't believe in churches. There's quite a lot of people here. Pretty much everyone on the block. I've seen none of the kids I'm meeting here. I asked around. All of them are homeschooled. Everyone's wearing some kind of red. I met Kasumi's parents. They seem very nice. The priest just came in. Mass is about to start. Entry 10. Oh, holy fuck! Father Tijo healed my back. There's no pain At all. I don't know how he did it, but there's 9 more bruises on me. His sermon weirded me out at first. He talked a lot about how the world will always try to oppress you, tell you how to think, how to talk. He preached how we should express ourselves freely through Lord Akahiko. I was getting worried, especially when he called me up to the podium by name. I guessed Kasumi had told him about me. He was hesitant, but Kasumi convinced me to go up. Father Taijo introduced me to the congregation. He then told me he knew about the scars on my back and about the bruises I still had. I glanced at Kasumi, who looked shocked. Father Taijo then offered to heal me. I wasn't sure about this, but, well, I had already come this far. I didn't want to make a scene by running off. I lifted the back of my sweater, revealing the bruises and cuts my father had given me. The crowd gasped in horror. I felt ashamed. I started to regret coming here. Father Taijo ran a hand along my bruised skin, saying a prayer aloud. The crowd began to join in. Soon, the pain was gone. He gave me a mirror to look at my back, and it was clear. I still had scars, but the bruises and cuts were totally gone. After Mass, Kasumi pulled me aside and asked how I got my bruises. I told her I was clumsy and fell down some stairs. I didn't want to bring shame upon my parents. Still, I could tell from her expression that she didn't believe me. She asked if it hurt when she hugged me. I lied again, telling her it didn't. I felt bad for lying, but I wanted to spare her feelings. However, I think she knew. The expression she wore was heartbreaking. I know she didn't mean to hurt me. We went out and started clearing up leaves. Mom picked me up after. She saw Kasumi in her red dress and ordered me to stay away from sluts like her. The insult made my blood boil. I wanted to yell at her for that. Still, I held my tongue. I knew if I spoke out that she would backhand me. Entry 11. I messaged Tamaki, telling him what Father Taijo did. He was shocked, but explained as him maybe using makeup and ointments to hide my bruises and dull the pain. I'm not so sure about that. He didn't have time to do all of that, plus his hands were dry when he touched me. I explained this to Tamaki, but he wasn't listening. He was convinced that this guy was just a false miracle healer. He said it was a scam, and that I should be careful. I logged off without another word, and deleted my browsing history so my parents wouldn't see. Still, Tamaki had given me some doubts. I wiped my back with a damp cloth. There wasn't any makeup coming off. Plus, I'm certain any ointment would have worn off by now. I'll tell him later. Entry 12. Sunday was uneventful. Dad spent the day watching TV, and Mom was busy with work. I hadn't talked to Tamaki since our agreement. I was upset with him, because Mom just insulted Kasumi, and he started talking about Sams and such. I wanted to talk to him yesterday, but I was embarrassed to do so after I had just ghosted him. I logged on this morning to apologise. I saw that he had beaten me to the chase. He said, "I'm sorry. I just want what's best for you. I love you, Alice." I told him I loved him too, logged off, and headed out. I was feeling super emotional after that. When Kasumi gently hugged me, I burst out in tears, crying into her shirt. She held me, stroking my hair as I unloaded my emotional baggage onto her. When I finished talking, Kasumi kissed my forehead, causing my cheeks to flush red. I ran into the school utterly embarrassed. Now, I'm even more embarrassed for dishing Kasumi like that. Fuck, I'm such an idiot. Entry 13. Kasumi met me at lunch. I asked her about the children of the Red Angel. She said, when the Japanese managed to escape the American internment camps, the church believes it was a kami named Akihito who led our people to Silvervein. However, he was killed by the Queen of Spiders shortly after. The church believes in living, like really living, enjoying every moment like it is your last. They believe in being good to all, but to never accept oppression, and that one day Akihito will be reborn into this world. Our main tenets are personal expression, rebellion, and the strength to defend the other two tenets. I told her, I'm not strong. She told me that through Akihito, I would be. She kissed my cheek. I went red, but didn't run this time. She held my hand under the table. Entry 14. I talked to Tamaki again. He was still worried, but didn't push things. He asked me if I could be interested in living with him. I would love to, but I know my parents would never allow that. I explained that to him, but he told me he could get CPS involved. He could adopt me. The thought made my heart skip with joy. But I knew how angry Dad could get. I didn't want to tempt fate. Besides, once I came of age, I could stay with Uncle Tamaki while I was in college. I could tell he wasn't happy with that answer, but I knew it was better that way. Besides, he didn't have a job yet. He lost his job at the Silvervein Gazette a while back because of a short story he posted online called Childhood Companions. His former boss said that it was distasteful to make a fictional account of a recent tragedy. Tamaki insists he didn't write it, that the real author's ghost possessed him. I didn't believe him at first. I thought he was just stressed because of the divorce. But now that I've seen what Father Taito can do, I'm starting to wonder if maybe there's some truth behind Tamaki's story. Entry 15. Akihito came to me in my dreams. Even though I had trouble making out his exact shape, I could tell that he was the incarnation of power and glory. He told me I had the strength to fight back against my parents. But the shackles they held me with could be shattered. I just needed to believe in him and in myself. He said I was special, and with my help, he could be reborn. Entry 16. Kasumi surprised me with a small red box before school this morning. She heard my birthday had been the week before. I opened it up. Inside was a small, thin gold chain. On the end was a small key. Written on it was the key to my heart. My heart fluttering madly, I gave Kasumi my first kiss. The temptation to hide behind the largest object nearby was overwhelming. I was thankful no one was around to see us. I hugged her, thankful to just have someone like her in my life. Entry 17. Lord Akihito, please save me. When I came home, Dad was waiting for me. He dragged me into the living room, his grip hurting my wrist. I tried to pull away, but he shook me against the cheek. He had called the school earlier and found out the community service was a lie. I hadn't seen him so angry in a while. The veins on his temples pulsed madly. Mum was leaning against the wall, watching with a distant and cold expression on her face. Dad told me my behaviour lately was inexcusable, and that I needed to be taught a lesson. Dad pulled his belt off. I thought I knew what was coming next. To my horror, he dropped the belt and began to unbutton his shirt. I tried to run. He struck me across the cheek, knocking me down. I don't have it in me to describe the things he did to me. Akihito, please. I'm begging you. Give me the strength to fight back. I can't take it any longer. I want to live. I want to be with Kasumi. I want to live with Tamaki. Save me, please. Entry 18. It was almost like I was in a dream. My feet barely touched the floor. It was almost like I was floating. My father locked my bedroom door, but it did little to stop me. I passed through the kitchen before I walked into the living room. My parents were eating dinner, something they had kept from me last night. I didn't notice my presence until I was standing right next to my father. He looked up at me. The first stab was in his cheek. His eyes filled with terror. It took Mother a moment to register the shock enough to scream. In that time, my knife had sunk into his eye, his neck, and then his belly when he collapsed onto the couch. I began sticking him like a pincushion as Mother ran out of the room. I stabbed and stabbed and stabbed before I dragged the knife across his throat. I heard a soul-shattering scream from my mother. My father was twitching on the ground as my mother stumbled back into the living room. Her face was gone. Her bulging eyes were surrounded by red. Her hand shook. Shock began to set in. I put her out of her misery. Father Taiji stepped into the living room, wiping blood from his mouth. He promised me everything would be alright, and that soon, Akihito would be reborn. His eyes flashed golden hazel. Entry 19. The shock's worn off. I'm freaking out right now. Kasumi's trying to keep me calm, but it isn't working. I killed my parents. I'm a murderer. Fuck! I killed them. I fucking killed them. Entry 20. I killed them. I'll never have to deal with them again. They're gone. They're out of my life. I'm safe. I'm free. Entry 21. I owe everything to Lord Akihito. He saved me. The adult members of the church are getting ready to induct me into the Children of the Red Angel. I wish Kasumi was here to watch, but she's at school. I'm going to ask Tamaki to adopt me. I haven't talked to him since it happened. I hope he's okay. Thank you, Lord Akihito. You've given me freedom. I hope I can one day repay you for what you've done for me.